Hey, welcome back everyone. Another day, still working on wiring. I have the truck itself wired, all the lights, everything to do with the body and everything, and working on the Hemi Swap here, doing the harness modifications now. What I've got done is the actual engine harness. It consists of everything that plugs in on the engine, all of the temperature sender, oil pressure, fuel injectors, coils, knock sensors, all of that stuff. It all comes around to 3 big plugs that go into the computer. We've got a black one, green one for transmission, orange one. They all have kind of different functions, and the black is mostly for power and talking to computer and such. The orange is chassis stuff, and then there's a white one that I'm working on now. On this particular harness, it has 2, I think they're called 305 and 308 plugs that bring power and different signals in from the actual vehicle. There's quite a bit of the stuff in those that I don't require, so I'm just going to unpin them. The black one, there was only 4 wires I unpinned. 4 or 5. Yeah, 5 total. Rear O2 sensors and EGR. I'm not sure on the white plug yet. I'm just going to get into it now. What I do is I go to a site called Mopar Connector Kits, and it has, you can go through the list for your vehicle and pull out a diagram of the actual plug-in, and it tells you what each pin does, and makes it quite easy for getting rid of what you don't need. The other thing I did this time, I purchased a set of depinning tools, they call them. It was pretty cheap on Amazon. It did make it a lot easier to get a lot of these pins out. These plugs are kind of tricky. They have a lock that you have to release, and nowhere can I find instructions on how to release the lock. So you pretty much got to inspect it, figure it out. This plug in here, the whole face pops out about 1/8 of an inch, which unlocks the pins. On the blue, or the computer plugs right here, once you take the back cover off, which is kind of tricky, there's a little red tab on the inside here. You should probably just see it. You push it from the right hand side to the left hand side, and then it unlocks all of the pins. So I'm just going to get started here now on the white pin, or the white plug-in for the computer. The wires that go to the left here, I know where they all go. The ones on the right, there's about 12 of them there. I have to figure out where they go and if I need them, and if I don't need them, then I'll pull them out of the plug-in and discard them. So that's what I'm about to start doing now. Okay, I just wanted to bring you in and show you these computer plugs. So what we have is, there's a back piece here that holds all the wires where they come into the back of the plug-in, and then there's 4 little tabs, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, and they're very brittle and easy to break. What I do to get these out without breaking them, so far, out of 4 plugins, I've only broke 1 of them, which is pretty good, because on my Dodge, I broke almost all of them. So what I do is I put a screwdriver in on the backside here just to put a little pressure out on it. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Right in there, and then just pry this little tab up one at a time. And they'll usually separate slightly. As you can see right here, I got a little bit of And then I'll go to the other side and do the same. Sometimes you end up hurting yourself. I'm going to need a different screwdriver. Let's see if I can get this one. Don't bore you to death. Okay, so I got the two top ones separated. Now I have to do the same on the bottom. I'll just pry up on this slightly. Oh, that one didn't want to come. It's one of those times when an extra set of hands would be really nice. Okay, I got that one. One more to go here. I just kind of put it in from the side. A little bit of, it doesn't take much to unlock it. There we go. Hopefully this other one didn't pop back in. And then just gently pry it apart. Okay, now I can, well, I thought I could pull it out. They can be a bit stubborn. Okay, so I got this one off without breaking any of the tabs off. Next thing you have to do to unlock the pins, this is what I referred to earlier, this little bar here. There's a slot there. You can pop this out, both sides. That now unlocks all of the pins. And then using my depinning tools, I have a couple different ones here. Bring this in close. You can see each of these pins, they're numbered from the top 1 through, I think it's 10, and 11 through whatever it is, 20, and then on the bottom one it's 29 to 38. So to release a pin, there's a little slot on the top side here. You figure out which wire you have, you push the pin in, put a little rearward pressure on it, and you'll feel a little click, and then you can pull the wire out. So I'm going to go through this, see what I don't need, pull out the wires I don't need, and mark the ones that I do and where they have to go, and then I'll bring you back. Morning everyone, back again. Dropped the ball on the video again. Got into this wiring so hot and heavy, and all my brain cells were needed to do that. So I didn't get any videotaping done, but I'll just show you what we got done here. I got piles of wire laying everywhere. It's all over the floor. We got everything that I pulled out of the harness that I didn't need or don't think I need, and we've got pretty much 99% of the wiring is all done under the hood. I'm just about to take the ECM out, and we're going to do the HP tuners retune on it, get rid of the skim, and hopefully fire this thing up later this afternoon or this morning. I got one thing left to do. I got to run my oil pressure line for the oil gauge. Fuel gauge is working. Fuel system's in. We do have to build. I'm missing one fitting, so we're going to kind of do a jury rig filter or fitting to go into the fuel rail. So hopefully a couple hours we'll be back, get this thing running here. So okay guys, we're back again. It's been over a week since I started this video. Lots of trials and tribulations and problems and issues, and not a whole bunch working in my favor. It's Saturday morning here. Last Friday I came down with a real wicked cold. Spent 5 days with my head in a cloud, not knowing what was going on, and made a few errors and problems. So We are further behind now than we were in the last update on the video. The entire wiring harness is back out of the Fargo here on the bench, tracing wires. It's all I've been doing for the better part of the last 5 days. Now that I'm just about over the cold, I can concentrate a little better. Some of the issues I've had was when we went to reprogram the ECU. Again, too many antihistamines and a foggy brain, and I connected my bench tuning connector backwards to the battery and thought I had fried the ECU. As it turns out, I didn't. It reprogrammed properly, but our truck still will not start. The reason I know the ECU is still good is after a bunch of testing, I took it and plugged it into my 28 Dodge, which I know runs and the wiring's all good, and the Dodge fired right up. So I know there's no problem with the ECU, but for some reason, this thing will crank. It's got fuel pressure. All the wires are checked where they're supposed to be, but for some reason it just won't fire. So I'm still playing with that. I had to do a bunch of power steering modifications, made up a hose, and one of the Chinese fittings, high pressure fittings, that I had to have our local John Deere dealer crimp to the hose, was very porous when I welded it with the TIG, and it's puking. So before I put everything back together here, I've got to take that hose off and re-weld it, hopefully get it to seal up. Otherwise, we're not even going to be able to fire this thing because there'll be power steering fluid everywhere. So after 6 or 7 hours yesterday on the harness, everything checks out exactly the way it's supposed to be. There is no reason it shouldn't run the way the harness is done. The only modifications I made was I pulled out some of the rear O2 sensor wires, EGR wires out of the plugs. None of that affects how it runs. The only other plug-in that has any modifications is the C105 plug here, and it's where all your power and ASD relay and everything wire into the harness. This is what transfers power through the harness to the ECU to make it run. So, not sure what's going on. We're gonna install the harness again. I did have a few ground issues last time, which I did rectify, but it still wouldn't run. So I'm gonna continue playing with this, and hopefully we're gonna get some spark out of it later today. I'm hoping anyhow. If not, I will end this video this afternoon, seeing how it's over 7 days old, and we'll go from there. Okay guys, we're back again, Saturday afternoon. I think it is, it's just after 4 o'clock. Been out here working on this thing all day since 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock this morning. Brent McIsaac from Mongrel's Garage has been working with me on the phone, trying to figure out the wiring issues, what the heck's going on with this engine, why it wouldn't start. And the non-start thing came down to, there's one wire that says ignition on, start only, that we thought had something to do with start over CAN bus, which is strictly in the Aspen when you're using the computer to start. Well, it turns out that that one has to be hooked to the starter when you're turning the key to start, otherwise it won't start. We got that figured out, and then this bloody thing would not run. I mean, it run, but backfiring and popping, and the throttle was going up and the throttle was going down, and could not figure out. We went through all the wiring again, we checked all the pinouts, and everything checked out good. So we were thinking possibly the timing was out, or maybe we didn't get an intake push rod in the proper position, which is really easy to do on these Hemis because they're really tough to keep in position while you're tightening the rockers down. Did a compression test, 170 to 175 pounds on all the cylinders. So that rules out push rods. It also rules out timing. We put the timing chain in right. Couldn't figure it out. And then it comes down to when I was putting the spark plugs back in and coil packs back on, I thought, man, maybe I got a bad vacuum leak in the brake booster, because the brake booster is brand new and it's from overseas. I won't say what country, but you all know where. So I was going to plug that. When I went to the passenger side to put the coil packs on, I looked at the intake manifold and that 2x4 hit me right between the eyes. Boom! When you delete the EGR, you block the hole in the cylinder head and the toonie size hole in the intake manifold. Duh! Anyhow, this thing runs like a top now. I still have an issue with my throttle is not working. I've got to do some checking on that. I'll just turn the key on and fire it up just to prove it. I have a whole bunch of wiring to clean up now to rule out different things. I bypassed the ignition switch for the start sequence, but there's a really nice running Hemi Swap. That, my friends, was 9 years in the making, and to say I'm happy is an understatement. Thank you guys for following along and watching me screw up and fix it up and screw up and fix it up, because that's what it's all about. So anyhow, I'll get this video up, and once we get a few more things going, I will put up another video. Thanks much, guys.